In tonight's You Decide 2024 coverage, we are the only station bringing you coverage of more than just the Democrats and the Republicans running for president this year. Tonight, in a local Fox 23 exclusive, Libertarian presidential nominee Chase Oliver joins me for 15 minutes, unedited in his own words, with the exception of one commercial break. Oliver has been known to get enough votes in Georgia politics to impact the outcome of major Senate races there. Now he's hoping to do more of that on the national stage this fall. Mr. Oliver, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time. I think a lot of people are looking at their screens right now and they are shocked at how young you are compared to what our options have been. And you have ballot access in multiple states. Does age play a role in part of your messaging on the campaign trail this year?
Well, I certainly think it does because, I am from the millennial generation, and certainly we have been underrepresented in our politics. Our leadership in Congress and in the White House are much the same leadership that was existing 20 years ago when I was in high school still. So I think it's important for my generation to rise up and have more of a voice in our politics, considering we're the generation that's had to fight the wars for the last 20 years. We're the generation that's had to deal with the 2008 fallout, right as we were getting started the economy and buying our first homes. And we're now the generation that's raising families all over the country as we handle the inflation that's been caused by the spending of both the Trump and Biden administrations. And so I think it's very important for my generation to have a messenger, and I'm glad to be in the political process, not just for my generation, but also for Gen Z, who are rising up and will be the plurality of voters in the next couple of elections.
So what would you say your top issues are? You did bring up just the history, and I know you've been involved in politics for a while. You're known as a disruptor, but what are your top three issues if you had to say that you want to focus on?
Well, I think the largest issue that's affecting the American voter today, which is our most important issue, is handling inflation and getting the economy under control. And that starts with balancing our budget so we're not printing trillions of dollars of thin air, driving inflation up by devaluing our dollar. That's the best thing the government can do, is actually balance our budget and get ourselves back into a bit of a fiscal sanity. Secondly, I would say the greatest domestic issue beyond the economy is immigration. I fight for a 21st century Ellis Island that can streamline the process to let workers come in here who are vetted, come in very quickly to be able to work and fulfill the jobs that need to be filled. But also this would allow us to put a laser focus on those who are trying to come across the border for nefarious means, such as human trafficking. And I think that's something that voters would like to see, is a border that's orderly and allowing for workers to come work. And lastly, I'm an anti-war activist. I'm somebody who wants to see our warfare state removed from all over the world. I think we've funded too much of the wars and chaos around the world, either through direct action or selling of arms. And I would like to see our foreign policy more rooted in markets and diplomacy and voluntary exchange between nations.
Let me ask you this. You did make a little bit of Oklahoma history. You were the first openly gay man to win a presidential primary in Oklahoma. And every article I see about you, they say he's armed and gay. I imagine there's more to you than just armed and gay. Is that correct?
Well, absolutely there is. And while I am myself gay, and I do really support the Second Amendment wholeheartedly, and that's become a moniker of mine. But I do believe there's a whole lot more to the campaign than just those two descriptors. But of course, I do want to support anybody's right to be who they want to be in peace. And I want to support the right to defend yourself living in peace with the ability for you to own a gun. But certainly the Libertarian Party platform and my campaign is about a lot more, because we just spoke about three other issues that are quite important to the campaign.
Do you feel, people feel there are extremes on both the left and the right. Do you almost feel like what you're offering on the Libertarian platform may be appearing as some kind of compromise or middle ground or moderate in between the two this year, because of both parties have become so extreme as far as Democrats and Republicans go?
Yeah, I think the moderating factor is the fact that libertarians allow you to be as personally conservative or as personally progressive or liberal, whatever moniker you want to use, as you want to be, so long as you don't seek to use the power of government to enforce those values upon other people who may disagree with you. And so I think it's very comforting for many people who just see both the left Democrats and the right Republicans trying to push their way of life and their values upon the American public via law and legislation and the force of government. and they say, hey, the libertarians will just let me live as I want to live, so long as I can agree that other people are going to live differently from me. And I think that's the natural state of the world. It's the wonderful diversity that this country was founded upon, and that has continued to make us the most powerful nation on earth. And I think it's the philosophy that really backs up much of what founded this nation, however imperfect it was at our founding, and that we continue to fight for to perfect the notion that all people are created equal.
So let me ask you this. Growing up in Oklahoma, I had always heard there is a libertarian wing of the Republican Party. Ron Paul, Rand Paul, those guys would represent that. Why is that not good enough for you all to join up with the Republicans and make sure there is a change in the White House? I know Donald Trump visited your convention and he was booed. Why is that libertarian wing not good enough?
Well, there's certainly things from Liberty Republicans that we can identify and work with. There's also, I'm sure, areas where we can work with Democrats on that. That's about forming single issue coalitions. But when it comes to the underlying political philosophy of what backs up libertarianism, it's the non-aggression principle. And it's the idea that we don't need the aggression of the state to basically enforce values or change the way people live, and that we don't seek to use violence, which is ultimately what the state is. When you pass a law, it's ultimately backed up by a badge and a bullet. And we libertarians just philosophically have major disagreements with the Republican Party leadership. And ultimately, when you're a libertarian who goes in the Republican Party, you very rarely make the Republican Party more libertarian. You actually become more Republican. And that's what really happens. So libertarians who try to change the two-party system from the inside, I wish them well, but history has shown that much more of the compromise comes from the individual, not from the party, when that occurs.
So do you have ballot access? Do you have a path to 270? Because I saw the other day the Colorado Libertarian Party endorsed Bobby Kennedy, or at least helped him get ballot access in Colorado. Do you have a path to 270?
Yes, we do. In fact, we just officially filed in enough states to have over 270. We're looking to be on 48 state ballots. Recognize there's a couple there that have basically kind of passed their time in terms of qualifications. We're going to be write-in candidates in those two states, of course. So voters in all 50 states will be able to select Chase Oliver on their ballot. And we are looking to continue that process. But yeah, we're already over 270. Other than the Republicans and Democrats, we have the highest ballot access of any campaign across the country. And so I urge voters to check us out. And if they want to see an alternative in Oklahoma and elsewhere, we will be there for them on their ballot, ready for them to vote for something and not just against the Republicans or against the Democrats, but vote for their own liberty.
We're going to take a short break. On the other side of this, we will continue our conversation with 2024 Libertarian presidential nominee Chase Oliver about the race ahead and more issues that impact you as the voter.